number's 888-989-9811. And I love the fact, too, Eddie, I think it was the first time we met when I said to you, I have shot plenty of rifles and plenty of shotguns. I don't know anything about them. Every time somebody I shot shotguns and rifles before I ever shot a handgun. Every time one has been put in my hand from the time, if you go all the way back to BB rifles, the time I was 14, everybody's always said, you're a natural shot with a shotgun and a rifle, but I have no idea what to do or what to buy. And you looked at me and said, I know exactly the gun for you. So I can't wait to get in there and get that gun. All right, let's see what else we have. We have this question from Caleb.
Hi, Caleb.
It says, I have a question and I'm too nervous asking a cop. About 10 years ago, a few bad decisions landed me on the wrong side of a prison cell. I am now a felon, but grew up on the east side of Placer County and literally grew up with guns, my first when I turned 8. I have since reformed my life, and I am married. Now, this sounds like a legal question, but really, here comes the punchline. With my wife having no criminal record at all, she wants to own a handgun. But I don't want to ever get in trouble with being, quote, 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 in possession of a firearm. Can I get some kind of fingerprint safe or something to make it okay to be in the same house? So he knows he can't buy one. He's a felon. Can he live in a house with one in any way?
Unfortunately, if you're a prohibited person, which felon becomes on the prohibited list, you can't have them in the house with you.
Wow.
Otherwise, that also that gives you access to them. And so even if you've got a fingerprint safe, even if you can prove everything legally, it's still in the same household. And so unfortunately,
if she had a gun, because you have some super cool safes, and you've told me about some more, and if she's the only one that has access to that safe, he still cannot do it.
It's still in the house. I mean, the police are going to see it the same way.
Walk me through the process of buying a handgun in California. We go into NorCal Gun Vault. We say, I want to buy a handgun. You do all the thing where you talk to me about what kind of gun. Okay, put it in your hand. Okay, here's your toothpaste. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, bye. I want this gun. Now what happens?
Well, you're going to need a valid California driver's license.
Got it.
Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the real ID. There was a lot of
the thing we need to fly.
Confusion about confusion about that early part of the year where you did have to have it for a while, but they've since reversed that, and you need a firearm safety certificate.
Whoa! I don't have one of those. How do I get one of those? I just walked in here. I told you I don't have any guns. Now what? I don't have. Where do I get this certificate?
We give the test right there in the store.
A test? I didn't study for the test.
It's like a driver's license test. How many of those did you study for? So it's a lot of
all of them. Because I'm a terrible
There's a lot
driver.
of common sense questions. There's some on there that are absolutes, like how old do you have to be, or what. Then there's some that are subjective, which way is the safe way to point a firearm, that kind of thing. So you have to think about things like that.
Well, they're the funny ones, too. Like, I don't remember how it was worded, but it's totally fine to shoot your gun up in the air.
Right. And it's a
on
lot
a
of
holiday.
common sense.
On a holiday. Oh, well, maybe on a holiday that is allowed, but not on a regular day.
Before I took the HSC for the first time, a friend of mine who was already a handgun owner looked at me and said, "If you fail that, I am going to kick the crap out of you." Because I had seen it. I'm like, oh my god. So
I was like, "There's 30 questions." They're like, "You'll be fine." I'm like, ah.
Because this again under the intimidation thing. This is for those of you that are listening online or on the dot in Reno. Obviously, Eddie's giving California-specific answers because these laws are different in every single state. Right. And so...
because I was asking my family, we were in Arizona, I was like, I had to renew because you have to take it every 5 years, correct? The fire safety. Yeah, and I needed to renew. And they're like, huh? I'm like, you don't have to take that here in Arizona? I'm like, no. You don't have to take any of that. I was like, okay.
Or Nevada. You walk in, you don't even have the waiting period in Nevada because they do the lightning quick thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so, a lot of people are like, what? So you have to have a license? Now, this is for a handgun, though, to be specific. So before we get ahead of ourselves, because this is part of the intimidation factor, this test is not that hard. It's a lot of common sense. So we take the test, we pass. What do you have to get? A C minus?
You can miss. I think you missed 7.
Okay, we missed that. So we missed 6, but we passed. And so now I get my gun, right?
Right. Well, no, sir.
Yeah, I get to walk out.
So if it's
I'll pay you for it.
Right. If it's a long gun, or meaning shotgun or a rifle, even the semi-automatic AR style, you have to have the valid California driver's license, a firearm safety card. And as long as the address is correct on your driver's license, then that's all you're going to need. For a handgun, you're also going to need a second form of proof of residence, and that's a public utility bill, cable bill, anything that's directly physically attached to your house that puts your name to your address. And the address has to match the one that for your driver's license. And DMV needs to have your current address. So there's if you don't have it on the card, we can go online, do a change of address online in the store, print out that form, and that will satisfy as well.
And if they show up without a power bill, they can always get the car registration as long as it matches, right?
Right, car registration as well.
I loved that part because I needed to do that with my driver's license, and I got to do all that in the store. It was amazing. And then go out and get the car registration.
Do you register people to vote while they're there as well?
Oh, you can, yeah.
DMV does. We don't, yeah.
So now I can walk out with my gun, right?
No.
What?
And
Come on, Eddie. Give me my gun.
Not in California. So there's a minimum 10-day waiting period. And I say minimum because the Department of Justice has up to 30 days to approve your registration application. So we call it the DROS, the dealer registration and sale, and that's your registration. So you fill out an ATF Form 4473, which is the federal side, and then you have the California one, which is the DROS. And so those are both filled out, completed. We can typically do it in about 10 minutes. I mean, it takes longer. Some places we've got it down kind of to an art. So the only time it takes longer is if there are more people ahead of you doing the process as well. So then you do all the paperwork, you get everything done, you go home, you wait your 10 days. If you hear nothing, then come on in after 10 days, and it's 10 24-hour periods exactly. I mean, they won't even let us deliver it. The button for delivering the firearm doesn't even pop up until 10 24-hour periods afterwards.
And is this all firearms or just handguns that you're describing here?
No, this is all firearms for that. And then the only firearms that are not, and they're not even fire, they're air arms, air guns and black powder rifles and pistols you can take out of the store immediately because they don't take cartridges.
I remember we were at a fundraiser. I think I was telling you this when I was in the store talking to you, where it was for 4-H and FFA, and one of the dudes won a shotgun of some sort. I don't know what kind it was, and he just starts walking out with it, and they're like, the auctioneer's like, I don't know where you're from, but you need to come back here, and you cannot take that right now. There's a whole process.
Phone number is 888-989-9811. Hi, Steve. Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, go ahead.
So I had a question. I know the laws are always changing, especially with AR-15s. So what exactly do you have to do as far as registration or modifications to one to make it California legal?
So the AR-15 is the registration period if it's considered an assault weapon, if it fits all the requirements on California law as an assault weapon. That registration's already passed. You had till July 1st of last year to do it. After that, it's done. So now your only options are to convert it to California compliant. You can make it featureless, or you can take it apart. Basically, this way you're not out of compliance. If you have AR-15 that's in parts is not an assault weapon.
So you can own it, but you can't use it.
Right, basically, that's yes.
So the point is you're holding on to it either to use it elsewhere or you hope the laws change.
Right.
So that may be the answer to this email as well, which is similar. It's from Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
He wrote, let's say I know a friend who owns an AR-15 with evil features, quote unquote, pistol grip, adjustable stock, forward grip. What options does this friend have? I've told him about the new mag locks that allow the evil features but require the gun to be broken down to change magazines. Is this still legal?
Yes. Yeah, it's still legal. As long as it meets it can have what we call a compliance device, and there's quite a few out there that can meet those needs. We have a couple that we sell pretty regularly in the store. They don't take long to install, and if you bring in the incomplete lower, basically, or you bring in a complete lower, just take the upper and lower apart. Bring in the lower, we can help you with the compliancy part of that.
And you get questions like this all the time.
Yes,
people
sir.
Walking in and
every day.
Okay. Hello
and
there.
you can do that now. Like, you don't need to be afraid because
Right.
you got something that's illegal.
Eric, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hi, go ahead.
I had a quick question. Okay, so I'm a felon, but I still want to have my house pretty much safe. I wonder, do you guys have any kind of weapons that I could have that are like for felons, basically like a paint, maybe like a beanbag shooting thing, or I've heard of some glass balls that when they do contact, they explode and they have pepper spray or stuff like that. Do you have those? And can felons use those, or felons can use any weapons at all?
That's a really good question. I know we do have some less than lethal protection devices in the store. We have some tasers, we have stun guns. There's a pepper ball that we have. Mace spray,
And none of those require background checks.
No, they don't. You come in, you buy them, you go. So I mean, I don't believe legally there's any barrier, but again, the laws get pretty deep. So I'm not going to make a legal decision here, but I will say we do have those, and there is no background check required, so you could protect yourself.
And in those examples, and it's on him. He's got to figure out what the law is, because, if, for example, if you can't, as a felon, wherever he lives, own a taser, well, that's he has to know that, because he can walk in and you're not going to background check him.
Right.
You also have a lot of fun tools in there as well.
Oh, yeah.
But some people also, they wonder, why would I need a thing that I can point at the ceiling and it senses heat? Why would a standard person need? That's more of a hunting tool,
fun.
right?
Oh, you talking about the thermal? Yeah, well, the thermal is a fun device.
It is.
It is, and
Oh
it
my
would
God.
be used if you're out hunting. It's
Or if you're drunk at a party with friends. Hey guys, look at this.
Look like you were just walking.
yeah. I don't even want to imagine what you'd do that with a drunken party, but
Let's find the hot spots.
The guns are locked. Yes, that's one thing. But you've got those. You've got those the incredibly strong. You know what you call it? Scopes and binoculars. I mean,
right, all the optics we have.
God, the night vision.
you got
night vision,
Oh,
right.
that thing's awesome.
and you got clothing. You got apparel. You got coffee. I know you're a big fan.
Yep, Black Rifle Coffee Company. We serve it in the store.
And we mentioned when we talk about you, we should that you make this environment there where you have a TV set up. Sometimes you're playing movies. So if people are out driving around this weekend and they've got their stupid kids with them, and they're like, "Oh, there's NorCal Gun Vault. I was just listening about that. I want to pop in and ask Eddie. Oh, but I've got my crotch goblins with me. They can still come in, and they're going to be safe and entertained.
Absolutely, I'll make sure that there's a good movie on for them, and that they're, because again, a lot of people bring their kids into the store, and I know it's nice when you can shop and not have to worry about them. And I'm a grandpa 4 times over, so I just grandpa them in.
I love that. That's sweet.
All right, we got first question. This next one's from Name Withheld.
Hey, person.
This is the stuff people wonder about. She says, if you're prescribed medications for depression, anxiety, OCD, can you still purchase and own a gun?
As long as you haven't had any medical, you haven't been admitted to a medical institution or a mental institution for those reasons, the prescriptions you're on shouldn't, or they don't come into play.
What about this one? He says, I had a suicide attempt almost 9 years ago.
9.
Does that disqualify me from buying/owning a gun in California permanently? And if disqualified, is there a process to get my rights restored?
I believe it's pretty sure it's a 10-year disqualification.
That was
Damn.
5.
I believe so. Again, that's what's coming to mind right now.
And it expunges after that long.
It should, but you can the new law that just went into effect that they're working through the system now is that if you've had a mental health issue where it's involved the police, or you've had to get institutionalized, and even just for your own safety's sake, more than twice in 1 year, it's a lifetime ban.
Dang.
But every 5 years you're able to appeal, so it's a lifetime ban with the ability to appeal.
Is there a way for him to find out where he stands? Because it was 9 years ago, and other than having you run a background check, how does he find out?
If he wants to call the store, if he wants to email me at the store, I can do a little bit more digging and make sure that he gets his question answered this way. I don't have time.
Hello there, John. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
I was curious about inherited firearms. I've got a few long and short guns that I inherited when my father passed away. And I was just wondering, do I need to get those registered to be able to keep them legally?
So with some older firearms, especially if they're really old, like they're antiques and whatnot, there's no serial number. If they've changed hands, the DOJ is going to want them registered, but there's a form you can fill out online. It's called an intrafamilial transfer. And you can fill that out. You put in the information of who the owner. So if it was your father that owned it, you would put in there it was your father, and he's deceased. And you just fill out all the information about the firearms. If there's no serial number, you just put on there no serial number and $19, and you send it in. And a few months later, you get a letter back.
And now it's legal to own in California.
And then it's legally yours. So if something comes up, it's under your name.
If they walk into your store, can you do that form with them? Can you show them how to do it, or do it?
Yeah, we can just do we can help them out to get that registered.